Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air. Here I go.
Well, it's a sad one today. It is our farewell tour. If you've been keeping up with Disney news, you know that D23 came with a lot of information. Some of it expected, including the loss of my beloved Dinoland and Dinosaur, and some of it came as quite a bit of a shock. So in this video we are going to take you on a full tour of all the things that we expect to be seeing for the very last time here on this trip in September 2024. We're going to be visiting Dinoland, we're going to be visiting the Rivers of America, riding the Liberty Bell and exploring Tom Sawyer Island, and we're going to be checking out a few spots in Hollywood Studios that we think might be at risk. So let's get started here at Animal Kingdom today. We're going to go to Dinosaur. Side note, it's very hot, it's very humid. I'm not in disguise. It is what it is, we just have to work with it. So, let me tell you the story of Dinoland USA. Because lots of people think that it has no story and that it doesn't fit in Animal Kingdom, but they're wrong, and I'm going to tell you why. So where we are right now in Dinoland USA, what we now know is this area of Animal Kingdom Park. In 1947, as the story goes, it was just a small highway town. The only real business around here was a gas station owned by a couple of local entrepreneurs by the name of Chester and Hester. Now, during that time, an amateur paleontologist found some fossils here at the site that we now know as Dinoland USA. They scraped together as much money as they could, they purchased the site, and the Dino Institute was born. Now, Chester and Hester were not to be outdone by this new Dino Institute. They saw a money-making scheme, they saw an opportunity and they took it. So they opened a dinosaur-themed gift store. Dinosaur treasures right over my shoulder here. They didn't stop there though. They saw an opportunity to make some more money and they built Chester and Hester's Dinorama. That includes our Triceratops spin rides. They added all the Midway Carnival style games and they added the now extinct Primeval Whirl. And they basically built all of that and made a mockery of the very serious work going on at the Dino Institute. And that whole area grew and became Dinoland USA. The old fishing lodge that they originally had, the Dino Institute in its earliest incarnation, is now the Restaurantosaurus restaurant that we have just eaten lunch in. So there is the story of Dinoland USA, which I personally will sorely miss. I think that is a tremendous story. I think it's a mistake to get rid of such a rich narrative structure that we have over here. But there you have it, the story of Dinoland USA and Chester and Hester's Dinorama. Well, it has always been here. At this current time, I feel that an Indiana Jones type figure standing over, looking over Dinoland USA is just a little bit too insensitive for my tastes. Work continued at the Dino Institute to learn everything they could about dinosaurs and continue digging up fossils. However, the scientists also worked on a way to warp time, and we're finally able to open up tours at the Dino Institute where they can send passengers back through time on a tour of the Cretaceous period, overseen by one Mr. Dr. Grant Seeker, who is a heck of a paleontologist. I don't mind saying it. Now, Dr. Seeker would normally accompany guests to travel back to the Cretaceous period. However, due to an unauthorised field trip, he is not currently able to accompany people back in time. But he's still there in the control room, making sure we get back safely. making sure we get back to the future. Do you see what I did there? Now, a fun fact for you, when you are on Dinosaur, you will see that the time rovers are marked as CTX time rovers. CTX referring to Countdown to Extinction, which was the attraction's original name back before it was just Dinosaur.
If you look up at the pipes in just before you board the ride, you'll see the recipes for tomato sauce, mayonnaise, and some other component that I cannot remember right now.
Now, to honour the memory of both Chester and indeed Hester, we are going to go and check out their Midway games. Okay, we've given it everything we have. Almost literally, we've spent an obscene amount of money at the Midway Games attempting to win the Iguanodon. Now, we've not done too badly. We have won, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. We are taking home a Triceratops, which naturally I will name Grant. We won another Triceratops and a Minnie Mouse, which we have given away to competitors because we just don't have that kind of space in the house for that many dinosaurs and stuffed animals. But we did not win the Iguanodon. There is something incredibly poetic, I think, given my love of the dinosaur ride and its storyline, that I've set out to go get that dino. I did not get that dino. I'm just going to sit here and think about that for a minute. Next up on our farewell tour, we're headed to Hollywood Studios today. Now, Hollywood Studios is a little bit of a tricky one. We know something is going, we're just not 100% sure what. The news that they announced for Hollywood Studios is that they're going to be adding a new land entirely based around Monsters Inc. Now, the concept art was a little bit vague and they haven't confirmed where they're going to put this. The general consensus is that it is either going at the current site of the Star Wars launch bay and the animation courtyard area, which makes the most sense because it's a really underutilised area. There's not much happening out there. But the concept art did certainly strongly suggest that Muppets Courtyard may be at risk. Which has obviously not been received well in the Disney theme park community, and certainly not been received well by me. So we don't quite know at this point which one is going to be going. So when we go on today's farewell tour, we are going to explore both of those areas. We're going to deep dive both of those areas, make sure we capture as much as we can and say farewell to both of them, just in case the Muppets Courtyard is gone by the time we come back. Fingers crossed it's launch bay. Again, it's not a big utilised area of the park, but with Disney you never know, so we will say goodbye to both. Now the Muppets 3D show is obviously quite a dated show, but it is beloved. This is a beloved area of the park because it is now the only representation of the Muppets in all of Walt Disney World. So I think this would be a very unpopular decision if this was the place that closed down. The effects inside the theatre are still very charming, very funny. The story being that you're invited inside the Muppet Lab to check out their brand new cutting edge 3D technology. Now if you've been watching our channel for a while, you absolutely will know what's coming next. My favourite part of Muppets Courtyard, undoubtedly, my very favourite counter service restaurant in all of Walt Disney World. It's Rat Pizza time. Now if you have been watching the channel for a while, you've heard me speak in defence of Pizza Rizzo many times. Is it gourmet pizza? No. But I think there is room in the world for the small puffy pizzas. Fun facts for you while we sit here and enjoy some rat pizza at Pizza Rizzo. But Muppets Courtyard isn't as old as many people sometimes think it is. It isn't even in fact officially called Muppets Courtyard. It is technically speaking now Grand Avenue and Grand Park, the section where the Muppets 3D theatre actually is. Most people do still refer to it as the Muppets Courtyard. But this section of the park actually opened in 2016. We're sitting on the former site of the Streets of America, most of which were being torn down anyway to accommodate the new Star Wars Galaxy Edge at the time. So at this point they rethemed what was the Pizza Planet arcade restaurant, and this became Pizza Rizzo. More decor was added, more Muppets theming was added, and this became Muppets Courtyard. Just a short time after that it then became Grand Avenue, which I think for most of us we didn't really notice too much of a difference at that point, but it is technically part of the Grand Avenue section of the park. But yeah, it's not an original feature of the park. Considering many of us believe it is at risk, it's actually a relatively new addition to the park, albeit the Muppets 3D has been here for much longer. Our next stop is Animation Courtyard, Star Wars Launch Bay. Now this in my opinion is the most likely spot for the upcoming Monsters Inc. land that they're going to put in here. This really is a bit of a muddled mess of an area of the park. It's more of a shadow of various former iterations. Over here you've got the launch bay, which has really been made a little bit defunct by Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. But we'll take you in and have a look around the launch bay in just a second. You've also got some of your Disney Junior stuff over here. You've got your Disney Junior dance party featuring some of those Disney Junior characters as well. But it is a little bit of an underused area of the park. It's a massive bit of retail over here. But again, it's more echoes of things that used to be here than things that are currently here. So this does feel like the most likely option and indeed the best option. But still, we're going to explore, have a little look at what's still here, talk about some of our memories from the things that used to be here. Now you would have seen just over my shoulder, one of my favourite things about this section of the park is the last remaining remnant of my beloved backlot tour, the Studio Store sign. It is the last part of that area that remains in the park. Here in Launch Bay you can have a look at a lot of different Star Wars related artwork on the walls. It did used to house a lot of props and some other cool Star Wars related things to look at. It's also home to some character meet and greets, including the Darth Vader meet and greet, which if they do demolish this section of the park, it would mean either losing that meet and greet or relocating him to somewhere else in the park, as If anybody is familiar with Star Wars, you may know it doesn't fit in the timeline that's present in Batu over at Galaxy's Edge. So they would have to relocate Darth Vader, potentially over somewhere closer to Star Tours if that was the case. Launch Bay is also the former home of the Star Wars dessert party, which in my opinion was the best dessert party they had here on property. They had amazing desserts. It included the chance to meet Darth Vader, and you also had roaming characters like the Stormtroopers and the Jawas would come in and interact with people at the dessert party, followed by a walk with the Stormtroopers and out to the front of the Chinese theatre where you could then watch the Star Wars show. Again, just an echo of something that used to be here, far better than anything that's currently offered. The last stop on the farewell tour today. We're on our way to Magic Kingdom this morning, and the stop that we need to make today is more of a shocking one for us. When they did all the announcements at D23, we did expect to hear formal confirmation of the closure of the dinosaur in Dinoland. Those were expected changes. They obviously made a lot of surprise announcements in terms of what at the time they called an expansion, in terms of the Villains Land and the New Cars Land expansion. What I don't think anyone expected was, with those announcements, they announced that, in fact it was a few days later that they announced that the Rivers of America, Tom Sawyer Island and the Liberty Bell Riverboat would all be victims of this so-called expansion. Now, if you sense that I'm a little bit snarky about this morning, it is true, I'm a little bit snarky about this change. In my opinion, if you're calling it an expansion, it should be an expansion. If you're taking things away to make room for those, then you're not expanding the park, you're just making changes. This is probably one of the sorest changes that we have heard about, and that's saying something considering we're losing a beloved dinosaur. We'll talk more when we get there. We'll say more about this when we get to Magic Kingdom, but yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Now, to get onto Tom Sawyer Island, we are going to have to take the little raft. So we're just in line here. I think it's one of the first rafts going over today. Just in line for that, and then we're going to take the short raft journey over to the island and get a good walk around, wander around the island and explore everything over there. over to the island. We've had a good wander around the outside of the island. We've been through the mine and we've made our way around to what used to be Aunt Polly's refreshment round here on Tom Sawyer Island. It's a lovely big seating area, it's shaded, we've got a good view over the rivers of America, we've got a view over to the Haunted Mansion, so it's a really nice place to chill and rest, and it's a place that we have used many times for that reason. So this is where I have to do a little bit of a rant here. Oh, I'm trying to put my feet up on a chair, it's not open. This is where I have to do a little bit of a rant here. Like I said earlier, when they did the D23 announcements, the expected news was the change of Dinoland. Everybody expected that news, everybody expected the confirmation that dinosaur would be closing and we'd get more details of the Tropical Americas area that's going to go in to replace that. The surprise announcements were what they called the expansion, so Villains Land and the new Cars attraction that is at this point due to be situated here on Tom Sawyer Island. Now interestingly, they didn't announce that at D23. They did all the big exciting announcements about all these new amazing things, they showed some great concept art, and it wasn't until a day or two later when quietly it was announced that to make way for the Cars attraction they would be getting rid of the Rivers of America, which would also mean the Liberty Bell and here at Tom Sawyer Island. Now I love Disney, I love that they're expanding, I love that they're doing new things, but this is one time I'm prepared to say I think they are making a mistake getting rid of this area of the park. I do think it's a mistake. I think change is good, new attractions are good, but this is a wide area in the park. There's lots of natural space over here, there's lots of green space over here, there's lots of room for people to explore and rest and hang out, and a nice walk-through attraction. And Magic Kingdom is such a congested park, it's so heavily congested. It really needs an open space like this where people can just come and spread out a little bit, relax a little bit, get out of the sun for a little bit. To get rid of a space like this and put in another attraction, which will be another attraction that's super popular, super difficult to get on, queues for days, it's a mistake. I do think there were many other options open to them to put a new Cars attraction in. The Tomorrowland Speedway is right there begging for an upgrade. I don't think this should have been the area to go. And it's a difficult one because lots of people said online, immediately people took to the internet and said, oh, no one cared about Tom Sawyer Island, no one cared about the Rivers of America until they made this announcement. All those people tell me is they didn't care about it, but this is a place where you've come here every trip, we've always made it over here, we've always spent a little bit of time here. Magic Kingdom could use a few more walk-through attractions, they could use a few more accessible attractions, and when I say accessible I'm not talking about mobility and accessibility and that side of things, I'm talking more about places that people can just come and enjoy, and they don't need to get a virtual queue, and they don't need to get up at 7 AM to try and get lightning lanes, they don't need to purchase lightning lane or multipass to get onto it. It's just a space that they can come and enjoy. So that is the rant. I'm looking forward to a new Villains area in the parks. I wish it was a true expansion. To me, if you are saying that you are doing an expansion, you shouldn't have to pay the price of a massive area like this in the park to get something new. So I will be very sad to see this go, and I think many of us were quite shocked that this was going to be the place chosen to shut down. And I think it's a little bit of a bittersweet trip for us here because this is going to be the last time we will see Magic Kingdom as it is now. It'll be the last time we see Magic Kingdom that we know, and this landscape will be changed forever. And again, I think it's a mistake. Did you really think we would end the farewell tour anywhere but here? Storm Helene is on her way, expected to be a Category 5 hurricane by the time she makes landfall. That is not going to stop us coming to say goodbye to what has been my favourite ride since the first time I ever encountered it. Formerly Countdown to Extinction, soon to be extinct itself. It's also farewell from us for now. This is the last in our Disney vlog series for 2024. We will be popping up here and there with a few other videos. We don't yet know what our plans are. We don't know when we'll next be back here at Walt Disney World. So it is see you real soon. It's never goodbye, see you real soon. But for one final time, let's go get that dino.
In a moment, you'll be going live to our control center for a comprehensive safety briefing. And then it's on to the tour that will convince you forever that the future is truly in the past.
Hello there. Welcome to our little trans-dimensional joyride, folks. I'm Dr. Seeker, your friendly controller, and a heck of a paleontologist, if I do say so myself.
Flash photography? I wouldn't. It alters the homing signal, and that's not good. Oh, and one more thing.
Those locked coordinates?
We're in. Now, here's the drill. You follow the homing signal to the iguanodon. Then I'll enlarge the transport field, and boom, you're back with one additional passenger extra large. And don't worry about that asteroid. You'll be in and out of there before it even breaks the atmosphere. Trust me, what could go wrong?
Time travel commencing in T-minus 10 seconds and counting.
This is Seeker. Listen up. We've got to get in, grab the iguanodon, and get out before that asteroid hits. Let's roll! Okay, now let's go get that dino. Four-wheel drive, move it!
Warning, meteor strike.
Evasive maneuver! Left! Right! Left! Right! That was close! Computer, now what?
Carnotaurus.
That's it! Abort mission! Abort! Abort!
Iguanodon.
Forget it! Get them out now!
Asteroid impact.
Brace yourself! This is it! They're not gonna make it! They're not gonna make it!